In this tutorial, we are going to understand the Bootstrap column grid offset interpretation system. Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. In this tutorial, we are going to know about column offset position used in Bootstrap. Now, before we jump into our tutorials, this is the exact thing that we are going to do. As you can see over here, this blue box and this white box, both of them you may see they are practically shifted towards right from its initial position. In this respect, I would like to say, despite of the fact that Bootstrap uses 12 grids, each and every time you do not need to use all of those 12 grids. You may specify your grid requirement, you may use particular grids, and the rest of the grids, those will be left unused. Before we move on to our tutorial, the first thing that I would like to disclaim over here is that behind the scene, I have created some additional classes in our custom.css, such as this banner 5 and this banner 6. There's no such major changes are taken over here, only this that this banner 5, it has a background of this one and it has a margin top of 20 pixels. We'll be observing it, what is going on in this particular case. And this is banner 6, it has the same case, it has a background property with this color, this offset color here, and it has a height of 100 pixels. Now let's get back to index.html and let's create another div container. The same thing that will be created over here, and in doing so, what I'm doing over here, I'm just copying this thing and I'm pasting it over here. The container is banner 1. Instead of banner 1, I am placing over here as it is as banner 5. Div plus row is the same. Now I won't be using this grid consumption over here. That means I'm not going to use all those 12 grids over here. Instead, I'll be using practically 6 grids over here, and the rest of the 6 grids, those will be remain unaltered. So let's do it first. First of all, we have to remove all those things that was used in our previous case, and instead of call_lg4, I'm using call_lg3. And div class banner 2 is the same over here, that has been taken inside of our column class name call_lg3. And in this particular case, we may see that 3 grids will be consumed so far. Now in the same manner, in this second part, all we are doing over here is just replacing it with 3. Div class banner 3, this is the same. For say we are just changing it to banner 6 as has been created over here, banner 6. And this third one, just go on and delete it. We don't have any need of it right now. As you can see, we are practically utilizing 6 grids out of these 12 grids. This is call_lg3 in the first case and this is call_lg3 in the second case. 3 plus 3 equals to 6 grids are being used over here, is being consumed over here. Now first of all, press Ctrl S and get back to your browser and reload it, and now you can see a second container has been created by us. All of these boxes, they are practically consuming a total of 3 plus 3 grids, that means 6 grids. And we have taken these divs inside this call_lg3 class name. That is why both of them are leaving a 15 pixels of padding from either ends. This is just the same padding theory that we have been taught in our previous tutorial. If you have any problem with this padding system, then please refer to our previous tutorial. We have to shift this blue box towards its right, and the shifting will be taking place up to 3 grids. So all we can do, we will be using this class over here, which is known as call_lg3. Now you have to think about it, why I am using this call_lg3 again here. We have used here call_lg3 and it is a larger device preview. So as we are using call_lg3 over here, so we have to use call_lg3 again And this time we are using another word which is known as offset. This command practically going to shift your blue box 3 grids right of your web page. So let's get back to our project and see what happens. Press Ctrl S, get back to your project and reload, and now you can see that this box is now practically been shifted 3 grids towards its right, this blue box. And according to this blue box, this white box is also shifting towards its right in the same manner. So now if you use, for say we are copying it here, if we use the same thing here in case of this white box, now what will happen? This white box is now practically shifting towards right, consuming 3 grids. That means it will be 3 grids shifted towards right of your web page. If you want to place both of them in the central position, then all you need to do, just pick it off. You don't need to use that command over here, and reload, and you can see that the blue box and the white box, they are placed exactly in the same middle position. And here the empty spaces, these are practically the empty spaces. These grids are practically empty. There is no content inside it. All we are doing, we are just forcefully pushing our contents 3 grids right of our web page in this particular case. Now if we want this blue box to appear in the extreme left and this white box to appear in the extreme right, then we do not have any need of this command here. Instead we are placing it over here, but this time we are just placing here 6. Press Ctrl S, get back to your project and reload. Now you can see that your blue box is aligned towards extreme left and your white box is aligned towards extreme right. Now why this 6? Now here comes the calculation. As you know that your Bootstrap device, it practically is divided into 12 grids. That means the total sum up of all the components that you are using inside, those have to be summing up to 12 grids at a total, and that should not exceed beyond 12 grids. Now I have used colLG3, that means I have used 3 grids over here, and in creating the second box I have used 3 grids here again. So 3 plus 3, 6. So the remaining is 6 grids. So that is why while you are shifting your contents towards right, you are using 6 grids. You are practically consuming 6 grids over here to shift your contents towards right of your web page. And 6 plus 3 equals to 9, and 9 plus 3 equals to 12. A total 12 grids operation is being taken place over here. So that is why we are using here 6 instead of using 8, 10, 12, 200, whatever value it is. So this whole thing is practically depending upon your maths and your calculation. Now let's come to some technical approach. First of all, you may have seen here that I have used a separate container. Now instead of this separate container, the first thing what you do, just copy this row here and remove these things. We don't need to provide any second container over here. Now in the first container where I have practically created this row in the first case, what I am doing, I am now inserting another row over here. As we can see that another row has been created. So this is the second row, this is the row number 2, and this is the row number 1. Now if you just press Ctrl S, get back to your project and reload, now you can see that the margin is now gone. All these contents, they are now under same container. They are just practically using 2 different rows. If you talk about academic section, absolutely there is no problem with it. But according to industrial approach, it will be a very wise thing to use separate containers for separate contents. All you have to do, you have to think about the future. What is the future? Practically when you are working in an office, what you are going to do, you have to work with some developers, you have to work with other designers, your co-workers over there. So all of them, they have some different approach, some different things they are practically trying to do, trying to implement. Now the question is, in case if you are asked to create a parallax, then in that particular time you definitely have to create some containers, some separate containers. You have to provide separate IDs to them. So that is why it is wise thing to create prohibitions for each and every cases, and that is why I would like to recommend here. The first thing is to use separate containers for separate contents. This is the first and the primary thing, and this is a very valuable suggestion. Always keep it in your mind. Just press Ctrl S, get back to your project, reload, and you can see that there are two separate containers over here. The second thing is, if you just kindly pay your attention over here, you may see that this huge part that is practically being unused, this is practically an empty part. You cannot use this part in future. The wise thing is, instead of leaving some empty, some hollow parts inside your container, it is practically will be a wise thing that you just utilize all those 12 grids over here. Do not leave any empty space. And what is the benefit of this approach? In future, if your customer appears and asks you that I want to place some revenue generating ads in the left side of these contents and as well as in the right sides, cause these empty fields, those I want to utilize, then all you need to do, you will have to recalibrate this thing again. You will have to create all those slots, then you have to pour those contents, copying, pasting and doing the same thing again, and this is very disgusting and annoying thing. So that is why my suggestion is always do your things like this. Instead of using this call LG offset 6 for say, you are not utilizing this call LG offset 6 over here. Instead of that, now in the first case, create another div with class name call LG3. As we are asked to keep it empty, so we don't need to provide any content here. Now you can see that those things are now being positioned centrally. There's absolutely no problem, but the benefit is these parts are now not hollow nor it is empty. Instead, at any time you may provide any kind of content over here, like this one. For say, now just get back to your project, reload, and you can see those places, those are not empty now. You can always pour some contents inside it, and if your customer or if your project doesn't require any content over here, then do not provide any content, just leave it empty. All you can do, you can just provide this prohibition that in future these places can be utilized. We can always pour contents over here, and this is what is known as the industrial approach. In this way you may have to code a lot, you may have to code more, but if you think about the future, always think about the future, what will be happening at the end of the project, not in the beginning of the project. This is the primary thing that you have to acquire yourself. Think the end result, think about the end result. All of these 12 grids, those are now in proper places, those are now being utilized. Now in the next tutorial we have to work on with some typography. So if you have liked our tutorial, then do not hesitate to hit that red subscribe button, and hope to see you guys in our next tutorial. Till then, bye, enjoy learning.